Hello, in AWS series, this is the second video. Previously, in the previous video, what I showed you is running the Python program from my local PC and loading the data. Um, this Python program, whatever I'm running from the local PC would load the data from the txt file that's stored in the S3 bucket into DynamoDB table. Okay, that's what I showed you. As I said before, so I want to automate this process. So now, what I'm trying to do is automate this process. How? Okay, so the use case 3. Finally, I want to automate this process by using the Lambda function based on the S3 object. Created event with suffix only as .txt file. Okay, I'll show you that. For this, what is needed is the lambda needs to be have some permissions. Permissions needed are what? Okay, so the S3, once you upload .txt file into S3 and the .txt has a sample data which is a comma delimited, and once you load the txt into S3, it generates a S3 event, and that event you based on that event the lambda function get invoked, and once the lambda function get invoked, it needs to generate the same thing, a hash file. Every time a txt file is loaded, it needs to generate a new hash file. Okay, and the program the program that I wrote in the lambda function has to check the previous hash and the present hash and see which rows has been changed, and based on that it needs to update. But if the rows are not there, it needs to insert. Okay, as simple as that. So while while creating a lambda function, I created a role, okay, in which the customer policy was attached to it. Okay, so the first S3 policy gives lambda function to access the S3 bucket. Okay, and the second one is it needs the lambda function needs permissions to access the DynamoDB. Okay, as well as it needs to access the S3 also. Why? Because it needs to put the hash file in it. Okay, that's the lambda permissions. The lambda needs permissions, but how is the lambda getting invoked here? Based on the resource-based policy. Okay, in the resource-based policy, what are we doing? Okay, we are doing saying here, okay, effect is allow, and principal is, as we're saying, this is the principal. Okay, s3.amazon.aws.com. And what is the action? Action is we're saying, okay, allow lambda invoke function. Okay, and the lambda invoke function, all we're doing is giving some conditions to as needed. Okay, as needed, so the conditions are basically what the condition I gave is, okay, the request should be generated from my account. Okay, that's what I gave. But the remaining permissions, so this is the resource policy is, it's right here. What I it's a resource policy is, this is where the resource policy, as we say that it needs it, the lambda needs it. Why? Because it is getting generated, I mean the event, once the event is getting generated, it has to invoke, right? That's the reason resource policy. But the Lambda function needs permissions too. Permissions of what? As I said before, the same thing. So here, where was the, in the role document, we give the remaining permissions, okay? The remaining permissions to whatever it needs to do. Basically, it needs to access the DynamoDB, as well as it needs to send the logs to CloudWatch. That also will give in the role document, and means the role document is attached with policies. That's what I'm saying, with policies that gives all these permissions, like DynamoDB has to be accessed, the CloudWatch, the log should be sent to the CloudWatch, that policy has to be attached, okay? So in the role document, whatever permissions needed by Lambda should be given, and in the resource policy, where it's saying, okay, certain resource is getting accessed, certain, the Lambda function is getting resource, getting accessed by certain resource. That's what we are saying here, okay? Now, so as I cleaned my items, so I just deleted everything. So there are 0 items. This is the table and 0 items, right? And this is the bucket, and I mean this is the DynamoDB event lambda that I created, and this is the code that I wrote in it, and there is no trigger yet, okay? So, and if I go to the S3 bucket, and there is 0 objects too, okay? So first thing I need to do is go to the properties and create the event. Okay, properties. The event, create event notification, event name, x3 text event, the suffix I'm giving it as .txt, and all objects create events. I don't want to, I just want to make it very simple, okay? Lambda function destination is, okay, and choose from your Lambda function. Yes, I want to choose this, and save changes. Okay, it's done. So just want to make sure, okay, S3 text event, okay, all objects, okay, nice, okay, done. Now I have to, let me show you, once I do this, and if I refresh this here, the event, the trigger should be generated. I mean, it should update here. Okay, see, right here. Okay, now the few things that I have to take care is, okay, I should make sure that the Lambda should have enough time. Otherwise, it doesn't have enough time. I mean, estimated time should be enough. Otherwise, if the function is still running, but the time we did not you know, set it right, then the lambda function will terminate. So that's why I gave as 7 minutes, and the memory also, based on your, you know, what kind of, is it going to take more memory just because um, the records, um, I mean, the record, I'm reading record by record, okay? But I have only few fields. But what if you have more fields, okay? So then you need to consider the memory should be a little bit more than um, what I gave, 128 MB. So you need to just justify your memory and time. That should be in the general configuration, that should be appropriate, okay? All right. So now I think I'm all set. Let me load uh, into the S3 bucket. Let me load the txt file. Okay. So objects 0. I don't have any right now. So let me go to my downloads. So let me delete all this. I just want to let me open this. Okay, this is the file, text file that I want to upload into S3. Okay, let me do that. Okay, upload file. Okay, download sample data.txt, and right here it's all good. Upload. Close. And once I say refresh, it has to show that ID hash file which generates the checksum. So there you go. It's all good. So it generated this, and on top of it, because this is the first time, it has to load the data into DynamoDB table. Okay, let's go to the DynamoDB. See that records are 0 here. Let me refresh it. Bingo. You have it all here. Okay, so that's what it is. So now let me update few of the records in here, and then reload this again and see if those records has been changed. So let's do this. Johnny Depp, and 3 I change. Let me change number 5, Markson Simpson, and let me change. I changed 3, 5, and let me change 7. Satish Kumar, and let me okay, now I change 3, 5, 7, and let me change 11. So Jimmy baby. Okay, just some name. Okay, and let me say Park Avenue. Lincoln Avenue, sorry. Okay, so I'm saving that, and we go to S3, download, First I downloaded it and I want to delete that. Delete objects. Okay. It's all good. So now this is the previous hash, right? Once I upload this txt, whatever I changed, so this is the one that I want to load, right? So let me go here, upload, and files, txt, and okay, now you see this is the previous hash. Now it has to the second id hash file has to um, my program has to generate it, and with an extension of 001. Why I'm doing that, I told you before. I want to keep track of those in my computer too. So if my program itself takes care of it, then instead of going to these properties and enabling the version management and enabling the version, I'm doing it in my Python program. Okay, let's see that. Okay, here you go. Second one got generated, and if I go to okay, if I go to here, let me refresh it, and I said I changed number 3, right? Number 3, Los Santos. I did that change, and Johnny, there you go. I changed the first and last names. And number 5 I changed Marson Simpson. I did that. And number 7 I changed. Number 7 is there you go. Okay, Satish Kumar. And number 11 also I changed the last one, Lincoln Avenue, right here. Lincoln Avenue, right? Okay. And Jimmy Baby. Alright. Okay. Now the records are also in this the way I want it. So it's just updating the records by reading the previous, by comparing the previous and the current hash. Okay. So let me show you those hash files too. Okay. So let me pause for a moment until I open that. Okay. So this is the data, right? Okay. The previous and the current. Alright. So now if you look at it, the first one, dictionary, this is the key value pair, and number 1 and number 1, the partition key, the checksum did not change, but the second one did not change, but the third one did change because we changed Johnny Depp here, and the fourth one did not change, fifth one did change because we changed Mark Simpson here, and the sixth one did not change, sixth one here and here. Okay, the seventh one here and here did change because we changed to Satish Kumar, and the 8th one did not change, the 9th one did not change, the 10th one did not change, but the 11th one changed because we changed to Jimmy Baby and Lincoln Avenue. Okay, so that's what my program is. and this is the second one, second video recorded in this AWS series. So please come back. I have like I will continuously record few more series, few more videos in this series. So thank you, and this is channel Siri Bytes.